The tale of the ghostly hound and its curse is one steeped in the folklore of Japan, known as the Ghost of Tamara Bridge. This urban legend revolves around a malevolent spirit known as an inugami or dog spirit. The inugami is said to be an incredibly powerful curse that emerges when a dog's soul turns vengeful. This legend is especially prevalent in Western Japan, dating back to ancient times. Belief in the inugami once stretched across regions like the eastern Ota area, Shimane, and parts of Kochi in northern Shikoku. The legend also found its way to places like Yamaguchi, spreading as far south as Okinawa Prefecture, including the Satsunan Islands, Miyazaki, and the Kuma region. The legend is traditionally inscribed in kanji as Gwen. A word of caution: attempting any rituals associated with this legend is highly discouraged, as they involve extreme cruelty towards animals, which is both illegal and morally reprehensible. Inugami rituals are ancient, their origins lost to time, but by Japan's Heian period 794, 1185 AD, such practices were officially banned due to their barbarity. One method of creating an inugami involves burying a live dog up to its neck, placing food just out of reach. The dog's increasing hunger and frustration turn it into a vessel of anger. After several days, the dog's head is severed with a sword, and the food is then placed in its mouth. The head is buried at a busy crossroads to amplify the spirit's bitterness. Later, the head is unearthed and burned until only the skull remains, which is then kept and venerated like a deity. The inugami's power binds the person who created it, compelling them to fulfill the owner's desires. Victims of an inugami curse may display unusual behavior, such as gnawing others to death, and will have bite marks covering their bodies. Sometimes, instead of burying the dog, it is tied to a post with food placed out of its reach. The dog is then pitted against another dog in a fight to the death over a plate of fish. The victorious dog is fed the fish, and its head is subsequently chopped off. The resultant inugami becomes a familial entity, passed down through generations. It can be summoned by uttering, "Inugami, Inugami, Moshi." My mother, Elaine, has been acting strangely since returning from a night out with her friends. The vibrant, joyful woman I once knew has been replaced by someone who sits curled up in her chair, a look of profound sadness on her face. When she does move, she paces around, shifting her weight like she's carrying an unseen burden. My dad, my sister Lily, and I have tried everything to help her, but nothing seems to work. Whenever we try to discuss her feelings, she insists she's dead. Not metaphorically, but literally dead. She questions why we don't see it, why we don't know that she's no longer alive. We keep reassuring her that she's very much here with us, but she denies it, claiming she's not supposed to be here. Mom has started making odd requests, like asking us to find her body and give her a proper funeral. She says she can feel her skin rotting and smells her decaying body somewhere in the forest. It's all tied to the night she came home late, around 11 p.m., after meeting her friends. We thought she'd just lost track of time, but her car was nowhere to be found. When we asked if she walked home, she told us she had died in a car crash. She described sliding off the road, her car tipping over, and the impact killing her. We've been trying to convince her that she's alive, but she won't let us touch her. The one time I managed to touch her shoulder, it felt ice cold. I asked if she needed a blanket, and she simply said, "What's the point? I don't feel cold or anything." We took her to a local psychiatrist who suggested she might be suffering from something called Cotard syndrome, a condition where a person believes they are dead. The doctor listened as Mom insisted she was deceased, and she didn't seem interested in hearing otherwise. Meanwhile, we started looking for her car, assuming she might have left it stranded somewhere. But despite our efforts, we couldn't find it. Mom just kept saying, "You're looking in the wrong place." Then one day I received a call from the police. They had found a car tipped over on the side of the road with a body inside that matched Mom's description. They wanted someone to come to the morgue to identify the body. I was frozen with shock. As I hung up the phone, Mom walked over to me. A cold draft seemed to pass through the room, and she whispered, "See you at the funeral," before disappearing into thin air.